Confirmation that your training program perfectly fits your horse's physical fitness is always worth knowing. The CURO system can be used in real time to follow horses during a period of training with an uninterrupted range of 100 meters. The CURO sensors can be placed on those muscles of interest, in this case a recording on 2 to 3-year-olds at the Harris Ranch in California, where recordings from the hip and hind leg muscles were made during a routine 40-minute training session. The horses at the Harris Ranch walked gently out to the racetrack, warmed up for a few minutes via trotting, and then cantered for about 5 minutes. The cool-down part of the training session involved a few minutes of trotting before a walk back to the stables. For the hip muscle, gluteus medius, shown in the upper 2 panels, the change from walk to trotting was associated with a drop in the SD score recorded using the CURO system. This is to be expected, as the increase in physical activity from walking to trotting necessitates recruitment of more fibers and a faster firing rate, so the S and T parameters fall accordingly. There's a further fall in the SD as the horse shifts from trotting to the canter phase of the training session, and then a reverse with a gradual increase in the SD score during the cool down. The SD balance graph, second from the top, shows how well balanced the left and right gluteal muscles are on the 5 horses measured. For the hind leg muscle, semitendinosus, shown in the lower 2 panels, the same drop in the SD score can be seen from walkout to the canter part of the training session. However, no immediate recovery of the SD score was seen during the initial phase of the cool-down part of the training session, and the SD balance graph, bottom panel, shows how the right and left-hand sides of these horses are suddenly out of balance, an early sign of fatigue. However, the SD score and SD balance both improve as the horses walk back to the stables, indicative of a perfectly planned training session, pushing the horses to the limit of their physical performance without going so far as to induce injury. The CURO can also be used with other forms of training in mind. In this slide, you see a recording from the muscle gluteus medius of a horse used for event or military riding. The rider was interested to know at what point in the horse's training program it began to become tired or fatigued, so as to better plan the training program and avoid injuries. You will note that the signal remains very stable over on the left-hand side, but then increases in amplitude and frequency as the S and T parameters of the SD score give rise to a burst, a very early sign of muscle fatigue. Thereafter, the AMG signal shows a gradual loss of amplitude as this muscle starts to fatigue further. The rider was able to use this information to guide her horse's training program, safe in the knowledge that she was not inducing muscle injury. The CURO system can also be used to follow the training program of dressage horses. In this case, the rider was suspicious that her horse was overusing one hip muscle in preference to the other, the left versus the right. The CURO sensors were placed on the muscle gluteus medius of the horse and the AMG signal monitored during a dressage program. The results of the CURO recording revealed that the AMG signal frequency did indeed drop from the start of the dressage session to the end, representing a drop in the T parameter of the SD score, something to be expected as more fibers would typically be recruited during such a relatively intense period of physical activity. The results also revealed that this horse had a tendency to overuse its left side gluteal muscle at the start of the dressage session, but that both the right and left sides fatigued to the same level by the end of the dressage session. Such an imbalance at the start is not uncommon, as many horses have a favourite or dominant side, as indeed do we. The CURO recordings confirmed the rider's suspicion, but were also able to reveal that both muscles, left versus right, were fatiguing to the same level during the dressage training session, so no need to worry about overtraining muscle injuries.